Hey guys, welcome back. Let's take a break with Stephen Shamus.
Welcome back, Alex. I have my Maryland Terps shirt on
Good Terps.
in honor of both my niece and nephew are attending the University of Maryland this year. Big shout out to Jake and Rebecca. I hope they have a great first semester there. So, although colleges are a little different this year, I don't know how they're doing it in person, the virtual,
locked in your room.
Listen,
the first semester.
How come I wish we had the opportunity to kind of just take everything online back in the day, right?
Oh, gosh, so much simpler.
What can I tell you? So, Alex, what do we have on tap today? What are we talking about?
We're gonna dive into the FanDome that happened a week ago.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to DC FanDome.
A lot of fun stuff came out of it. I think the main things are obviously the movies. And, let's talk a little Suicide Squad because that was a huge reveal. We knew nothing about the movie other than the actors. Then we'll get into the Black Adam movie, which I think, again, gave you a little bit more than what we were expecting. And then let's talk about Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman 1984, the kickoff panel, which was extraordinary. They brought out Venus Williams and they brought out Linda Carter. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. All right, so let's get started, Alex. What's our first topic for today?
Yeah, let's talk about Suicide Squad. James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
Yeah, so obviously the big news, Idris Elba, Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Superman 4 from 1987 just went from the 25-cent / $1 bins to the $15 to $20 bins.
Pull them out, put them in Mylars, put them on the wall.
Everyone's sending them to CGC right now.
Yeah,
as we speak. So obviously that's the biggest character of all. It looks like from the trailer, and not that you want to read too much into the trailers, it looks like Idris has sort of taken over the lead. He's a world-class actor. He was great in Thor, possibly the next James Bond. We don't know yet, but Idris is a mega box office star.
Yes.
Great choice. Interesting character. What I love about the Superman 4 book is the character on the cover is bold, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have these first appearances or these cameos, and the character isn't even on the cover, like we spoke about Maxwell Lord, which we'll talk about later, which is Justice League 1. He's not on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of it loses a little bit of the interest. But when you have an Avengers 48 with the Black Knight riding, Bloodsport is front and center on that cover. Like we said, it was a $1 book. Now it's a $20 book. Who knows where it goes from here? It's going to be very, very difficult to give you pricing today. The pop reports that we're going to give you on these books are very, very low. There is not enough of a sample size. So what you can expect is you can expect retailers across the country, like you said, you worked at Midtown, right? This stuff got announced, Alex. You go in the back room, right? Yeah. What do you do? What did they make you do back in the day?
Pull the stock out, brush off the dust, put them in nicer boards and bags, price them up, and throw them up. Yeah.
Right. So everybody right now is going through their stock. I do believe that Superman 4 from 87, that was not a low print book. I now, again, those books have been knocked around over the years. Some of the books we're going to talk about today, we know have a much higher print run, but obviously Idris is the star. So that's going to be a key book. Yeah. That book's blowing up already. I would expect, right out of the gate, if somebody pulls out a 9.8 and they get it back from CGC quickly, their first one to market, $150, $200, probably boom like that. Yeah. So right now, there are currently 28 CGC Blue Label 9.8s with 0 Yellow Label 9.8s, no pricing. Those are probably all in personal collections. Those are probably Superman fans that just had runs of the burn back in the day, and that's probably all those collectors are, and they're probably like, woohoo! We turned nothing into gold there. The next character we're going to talk about was in the first film. Jai Courtney plays Captain Boomerang.
Yeah,
this book. Yeah, he's great. Yeah. He's great in everything he's in.
Yeah.
That book came out in December of 1960, Flash number 117. Because the book is 60 years old, there are no 9.8s. There's only 2 9.6 blue labels, 4 9.4, 4 9.2, and 11 9.0 blue labels. So quite frankly, any book that you're going to get If it's fine, very fine, whatever, just grab a copy, get it graded. It's not going to be as price sensitive, condition sensitive as the other books. Basically, it's going to be, you know, one of those books like Avengers 48, where any grade you get it in, as long as it's a clean, aesthetic copy, you're in good shape.
Yeah. Right.
Covers on, no, you know, not torn, not ripped, not faded, not stained, not pages cutting out. Any clean copy you can get of that book, just buy it. Again, there's no pricing on it on the CGC level, but Flash 117 from 1960 is the book you're going to want to get.
Yeah.
Another new character in this film is Blackguard, played by Pete Davidson.
Yes.
Interesting choice, right? The King of Staten Island.
Yeah, that's it.
Former boyfriend of Ariana Grande, Saturday Night Live alum. Very, very funny, by the way. So his first appearance is not terribly old, but because it was a #1 issue, the population's pretty high on it, and there has been an established value for it. His first appearance is in Booster Gold #1 from February of 1986. That book has 344 9.8 blue labels, 19 9.8 gold labels, currently sells in the $250 range. It's already pricey. It was probably $150 or so before this film. Again, it's an ensemble cast. We don't know who the standouts are. You know Idris is going to be the lead. That's
Captain Boomerang, Harley Quinn. I mean, they're obvious.
Right. So we don't know where he's going to fall in there. That book is also pricey. But you know what? You know, 344 is not a lot of copies. It's not a little bit of copies. 200, 250 bucks. Sounds like a decent buy there. And it sounds like Pete Davidson, you know, he's a funny guy. So I'm assuming the character is meant to be comedy.
Well, and that and Booster Gold, I think you're going to see somewhat of him in a live action role sometime soon, because they've been pushing him for the last few years in DC. He's a big character. He's been around since the 80s. He's a fan favorite. So it's a 2-for-1. I mean, it's a Booster Gold. It's you know, a character in Suicide Squad. It probably will get higher at some point.
Right. The next character is an interesting one, because in the comic book, the name of the character is Arm Fall Off Boy.
Right.
He's been renamed for the movie as TDK, but he's played by Nathan Fillion. Now, Nathan's a big-time actor. Yeah. He's a big-time star. I can't imagine that would he have taken a role that's a small role? I don't think so. I think if it's going to be Nathan Fillion, it's going to be a good role. The book is not terribly old. Secret Origins #46, Alex. And again, it's Arm Fall Off Boy in the comics, but it's TDK in the film, so be aware of that. That book came out in December of 1989. There's no reason under the sun anyone would have ever sent in Secret Origins #46 before we heard the announcements from FanDome. There's only 2 blue label 9.8s. I don't know who had the foresight to send that book in. Again, it must have been a run collector.
Yeah.
Two run collectors who just, who knows.
A big Legion of Superheroes fan, maybe.
Right. So 0 yellow label 9.8s. Again, we're not going to be giving you a lot of pricing today. These books have very, very low pops. These are not books that are out there. Again, go digging in your back issues. I'm sure everybody at your Midtown digs is going in the back issue bins right now. Secret Origins #46.
Those Secret Origins books are fantastic. And if you're looking for that one, buying a run maybe might be a cheaper way to do it. If someone has a run of 1 through, I forgot the last number, but some of those books are, you know, there's covers by Todd McFarlane. There's a lot of first appearances in those, because they would put the characters in there to explain them, and then they would show up in the books. Or, you know, it'd be a background character in one book, show up in Secret Origins with a background, and then it'd become a more prominent character. So,
well, I will tell you, you know, with most stores being closed right now, it does give the dealers a little bit of an advantage, because you know, these announcements are getting made, and sometimes some information might have leaked a few hours earlier, a few days earlier, or like right when it happens, and you don't have time to kind of catch up to all the news right away. Like, what's the first appearance of TDK? Like, you have to do research. Like, oh, what is the first appearance? Oh, is it this book? Is it that book? Is this the first time they're on the cover? Not on the, whatever that case might be. And, you know, this will give a store like a Midtown or some of these other stores time to kind of go in their back stock and say, oh, we found 2 or 3 copies of this. Are they gradable? You know, are they going to grade in at 9.4, 9.6, 9.8? Obviously, books from the 1960s, they don't have to grade that high. They can grade 5s, 5.5, 6.0s, and you could still sell them at a much higher premium. Okay, so the next one who must be a James Gunn fan favorite, is Michael Rooker, right?
Yes.
Was in the Guardians films,
yes,
and had a pretty decent sized roles in the Guardians films, and now appears in the new Suicide Squad as Savant.
Mm-hmm.
His first appearance from 2003, Birds of Prey number 56.
Mm-hmm.
Again, 1 blue label 9.8, 2 gold label 9.8s, go dig it in the boxes, the 2003 series of Birds of Prey. Michael Rooker, because he is a fan of James Gunn, you know he's going to give him an interesting role in the film, because he's not just he's not just window dressing. He's a very, very well-known actor. One of my favorite, my favorite role is a Michael Rooker, Henry, the Portrait of a Serial Killer.
I was just going to say Henry Portrait. That's a lot.
Did you know that?
Yes, of course. Of course.
When that movie came out, that no one would have thought that would have been a movie that would have been so enjoyed. There was something so eerie about that film. And Michael Nelson,
it's a cult classic that everybody loves. It's not well known. It's well known enough for people to love it.
And I watched it maybe like a year or so ago, like more recently, and just to see if it holds up. And I got to tell you something, it's just as spooky today as it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was crazy in that movie. All right, then obviously another favorite of James Gunn is his brother Sean Gunn, also from the Guardians of the Galaxy films.
Yeah,
and he plays Weasel.
God, he looks so good.
Yeah, so there's sort of 2 books I want to talk about when it comes to Weasel.
Mm-hmm.
They're both from Fury of Firestorm.
Mm-hmm.
They're both from 1985. Okay, Fury of Firestorm number 35. There's only 1 blue label, 0 gold label. That's his first appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you got to go digging for those books. Good luck. I mean, again, there are dealers who have back issues of Firestorm. Yep. You got to just go find them. 38 is the first cover. And we're going to talk about that later, too, with another character from the Black Adam film. Because, again, we've spoken about this before. Just because a character appears in the book, when they don't appear on the cover, it's not as desirable. Mm-hmm. But when they appear on the cover, there is something to it that people want, because, that's the first cover. Again, if you're ever going to meet the actor as well, people will rather have the one with the with the character on the cover, right? So number 38 has the first appearance of Weasel on the cover, and there's again 1 blue label, 0 gold labels. There would have been no reason for someone to submit that book before the DC
Firestorm fans. That's all. Yeah.
All right, you're gonna have to help me with the pronunciation of the next guy. David Dasmalchia. Did I get that right?
Sounds right.
Sounds right to you. Okay.
Sounds right.
Polka Dot Man. Okay.
Old villain.
Very, very, very old book.
Yeah.
Vintage book. Again, you're not going to find any 9/8s in this book. If you can find any copy in any condition, get it. It's funny. So it's in Detective Comics number 300 from February of 62. There's only 196, 394, 492, and 590 blue labels. What's interesting to me is when I first heard Detective 300, I said, oh, that must be a recent book. And then you realize they're at 1,027.
Yeah.
And that 300 was 58 years ago.
Yeah. It's nuts.
So again, you're not going to find a high grade copy of that book, but basically any grade that you could find, just pick it up at your local comic retailers. Does Midtown and do most comic retailers have books that go back that far? Or they kind of they start in the 80s or 90s?
It depends. I mean, Midtown has an online site, so they have space for that stuff. A lot of retailers don't. And for people to want a full run of Detective Comics is not as much as the people that want a full run of Batman. People want Amazing Spider-Man, but they don't want Spectacular Spider-Man. Like when you're looking at the main character in the main runs. So, something like that, 300, that's going to be a wall book no matter what, because it's an anniversary issue. It's 300. The cover looks fantastic. So even though it's Polka Dot Man's first appearance, that wasn't the reason why people would own these books. But a lot of stores are going to have stuff like that. They're going to, they might have been $10 last 2 weeks ago, but now they're going to be a little bit more.
Got it. And now the Doctor Who universe intersects with the DC universe.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I love Peter Capaldi. He's great.
Peter Capaldi plays the Thinker.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a very, very, very old book. All Flash number 12 from the fall of 1943. Even basically there's only 185 in existence in Blue Label. They've only graded 37 books in any condition at all. So I don't know if you're going to find any copies out there in any condition. Quite frankly, that's a book where it doesn't really matter. If you get a 2.0, a 2.5, a 3.0, a 3.5, missing cover, stamps on covers, torn pages, I think whatever copy you can get in whatever condition you can get, it doesn't actually matter.
I wonder if because the Thinker was in the Flash TV show recently, and I wonder if people bought that stuff up. The movie, the Suicide Squad trailer came out, maybe the fans of that villain probably already scooped some stuff up, so it might be a little bit even harder to find.
Yeah, 77 years old. I don't know how many people were able to find, that kind of stuff. So the next one is a character named Javelin, played by Flula Borg. Mm-hmm. And that was a book from 1984.
Common theme here. A lot of 80s books.
A lot of 80s books. So James Gunn probably grew up with a lot of these kind of characters reading these titles. Green Lantern number 173 from February of 84. Again, 11 blue labels, 0 gold labels. It's probably a book that was collected by Green Lantern enthusiasts who have Green Lantern runs. That's probably what you have, who collect 9/8 Green Lanterns. So again, if you could pick up a book of Green Lantern number 173, that would be a good buy. It's probably just a few dollars. Most of these books are $5, $10, $15, $20, $25 raw. If you could find a nice, clean, aesthetic copy, you're probably just getting it, even if you can get any grade on it.
Yeah.
The next character is Amelia Harcourt, who was, ironically enough, in Suicide Squad number 2 from November of 2016. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of a pop on that. 18 blue label 9/8, 6 gold label 9.8, played by Jennifer Holland. So again, Suicide Squad number 2 from 2016 series. You'll want to grab a copy of that. The next character is Mongol.
Mm-hmm. Mongal.
So,
Mongal.
Oh, sorry. I got it out. Mongal by Mei Ling Ning. First appearance is from 1995, Showcase 95, number 8, total 0 pop. Her first full appearance is in Superman number 170 from July of 2001, also a 0 pop book. She also appears prominently in Green Lantern number 8 from March of 2006. There's 20 blue label 9/8, 3 gold label 9/8, 199 and 110. Again, these are all good appearances for Mei Ling that you want to pick up to if you want to get the full cast. And again, we don't know until the film comes out. You don't know how big or how small, or are they going to have key moments or not key moments, in the films.
And it's interesting that they use Mongal before they use her father Mongol, who's a pretty big character in the Superman mythos. Alan Moore wrote him, and that's probably one of the best Superman stories. And it's just interesting that they're going with Mongal. So are we going to see Mongol soon? Is that going to be something, or is it just they're just throwing her in there?
Well, I will say what's interesting about this cast is, these are characters that no one is actually familiar with. So James obviously handpicked these characters for very, very specific reasons. We don't know what those reasons are yet. We probably won't know those reasons till after the film comes out, and it'll be like, oh, that's why he chose Polka Dot Man. That's why, because there's thousands of characters in this universe that you can choose from. These are like very unique in certain ways and aspects of things that they do.
The Suicide Squad, the original run in the 80s, not the 60s and the Brave and Bold stuff, but the 80s run. This is exactly what that comic was about. It was random villains thrown together. It didn't matter if one died or one left the team or one came out. They didn't care. That was the best part about that Suicide Squad run. And I definitely think James Gunn has read that run, which is out in trade now. It's wonderful. John Ostrander. There's a lot taken from that comic that's in this movie without even seeing a real trailer, just by the characters that he's picking. Javelin, Polka Dot Man, Captain Boomerang again. Like, that's a good run to grab.
By the way, try saying Suicide Squad.
I just tried to say it normal, and I couldn't do it right.
I know. It's tough.
It's not easy. Yeah,
it's not easy. Got it. The next one is King Shark, played by Steve Agee. Makes a cameo in Superboy number 0 from October of 94. There are 8 blue label 9.8s. There is one gold label 9.8. Again, that book, 1994, that Superboy Zero, I think it had a decent sized print run. You should be able to find that book. Again, won't cost you very much. And then his first appearance, full appearance, is Superboy number 9 from November of 94. There's 144 blue labels and 7 gold label 9.8s. And also, one thing I want to tell you is there's a lot of newsstand versions of these books.
Yeah.
And people are starting to take notes. So like the newsstand versions are like $600+ on this book. Yeah. But again, at 144 blue labels with 7 gold label 9.8s, that's a real pop. Like that book you can go out and find. That book will cost you $150, $200 right now. Probably a good buy. King Shark. I think it's a good bet. King Shark will probably be a decent character in the film.
DC's been pushing King Shark on almost everything they're doing. He's in the Harley Quinn cartoon. He's in the Flash TV show. Now he's in the Suicide Squad. There's a reason they keep using this villain. It's a really good villain. He's a rich character. So buying it now makes the most sense because just like Cyborg, they're continuously using this character.
Right. And then the last character to talk about from Suicide Squad 2, there's a lot of characters here.
Yeah.
Is Daniela Melchior plays Ratcatcher 2.
Yes.
So the first appearance is Detective Comics number 585, which is from 1988, April. There are 18 blue labels, 1 gold label, 9.8s. We've seen them in the 175+ range. I expect that to go higher. Her first cover is Detective Comics 586, the following issue. There's only 6 blue label 9.8s. There are 0 gold label 9.8s. Again, I don't know. I think the 586 is going to be just as good as a buy as the 585. And again, they're $15, $20, $25 books. Doesn't really matter, right? Yeah. Just go for it.
Yeah, agreed.
Just go for it.
And that'll be they gender swapped her for the film because it's a he in the comics, but she's going to be fun. Like it's essentially the backwards Pied Piper. Like she controls rats. They're going to have a good time with her. There's going to be some fun stuff. If you know James Gunn, he's going to make that into a fun villain.
That's what you used to pretend when you were a little kid.
Yeah, that was my favorite villain. It was Ratcatcher. Yeah.
Yeah, you used to want the rats
and Pied
to follow
Piper.
You around.
Yeah. Run around with a flute.
So we've reached that time of the show.
Oh.
Very special time.
Oh no.
My favorite time of the show. Your favorite time of the show too.
Definitely my favorite time.
And we're gonna do some high tech stuff here.
The drum roll.
The drum roll. It's Alex's pick of the week. What do we got, Alex?
Woo! We're gonna talk about pins. I think the last 6 years of like convention work, I've seen the rise of enamel pins go from, hey, these are kind of cool, to everybody has them, everybody wants them. And as a collectible, they're really easy. You can go to if there's an artist in Artist Alley and everyone has one, you can buy 300 of them and they'll fit in a little bag and you can take them all home and you'll have them. And like with the rise of like exclusives from like Star Wars Celebration or the Ace pins where there's only a certain amount made for that show and they're not made anymore and you had to be at that show to get them, the collectability of some of those pins are going crazy.
So which pin are you going to show us today?
I'm going to show my whole pin board. I have a white canvas that's got all my pins on it. I told myself once that one's filled and then another one's filled, then I'll stop buying pins.
And your fiance is okay with this behavior?
Well, it's small. They're very small. They go on a board. They can go in the closet. It's not a big purchase.
I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you.
Buy more pins. Or sell me your pins. One of the two.
All right. What do we got next, Alex?
Let's talk Black Adam, which had some surprises in it for me.
Totally. So we've talked about some of these characters before, so we're not going to rehash Black Adam because I know we talked about that. Mm-hmm. But there are 4 characters in particular that we need to talk about today that are Black Adam specific. Mm-hmm. Again, we don't know the size of the roles, but again, DC's smart. They're mixing and matching these characters. They're going to put them in the film. They're doing a good job here. I mean, I'm very, very impressed. So the first one I want to talk about is Dr. Fate. Mm-hmm. Character who feels like he's been around forever.
And he has, yes. He's a Golden Age character.
Right. He has, but like it feels like they've tried to do stuff with him forever. Yeah. So interestingly enough, so when it comes to Dr. Fate, mm-hmm. there's different versions of the character over the years. I do think that, I don't want to say it doesn't really matter. I do think people are going to want to collect all of them. Yeah. But but the one that we believe is going to be in the film is Dr. Fate #1 from 2015, from the August of 2015 series. That's the first Khalid Nassour. There are 22 blue label 9.8s, 1 gold label 9.8. Right now, that book is about $150. I expect it to climb a lot. In addition to that book, there have been some nice Dr. Fate books over the years. So, and again, I do think that, sometimes when it comes to, is it the Wally West Flash? Is it the Barry Allen? Like, this one's on the TV show, this one's in the movies. Yes, it's all fine and good, but you know what? I've seen Ezra Miller sign the Barry Allen ones. I've seen Grant Gustin sign the Wally West ones. Like, I don't know that people paid that close attention.
Well, at least in Dr. Fate, I mean, with Flash, the characters change. Dr. Fate is more of a mantle of the helmet and Naboo and the powers. So yes, it's different people in the helmet and in the costume, but really it's the helmet of Fate is the Dr. Fate persona when people take it on. So correct.
Right. So in terms of books to buy, I would still recommend, there's 3 other books that I would take a look at on Dr. Fate. The first one is Immortal Dr. Fate #1 from January of '85. 7 blue labels, 0 gold label, 9.8s, very low pop, very awesome Walt Simonson cover.
Yes.
Awesome Walt Simonson cover. That's the first one I would look at. The second one I would look at is All-Star Squadron #47 from July of '85, has the origin of Dr. Fate with a McFarlane cover. I totally missed that one.
He did a lot of Infinity Inks and All-Star Squadron. Yeah, he was doing covers.
So what's interesting about that book is Todd has done a whole bunch of signings. There's only 20 blue label 9.8s and only 7 gold label 9.8s, which means that's a book that nobody ever had Todd sign.
Wow.
I think in the next signing that Todd does, that's going to be a book that a lot of people are going to want to get signed out, right? All of a sudden. And it's a really nice McFarlane cover.
Yeah.
So it's those 2. And then the last one is Dr. Fate #1 from July of '87, which is 8 blue label, 1 gold label, 9.8, very low pop book. I think all 3 of those are really, really nice looking covers. So I think that those will all do well. Okay, so the next character is Atom Smasher.
Yes.
Which I think that was announced a long time ago.
Yeah.
JSA Secret Files #1 from August of 1999. There are 29 blue labels, 9.8s, 0 gold label, 9.8s. That was announced a while ago, so I think people had started sending those books in, but still a very, very, very low pop. I don't know that people ordered JSA Secret Files #1.
I think the books were out there, and JSA was, Jeff Johns' run, and we can talk a little bit about the Black Adam movie and what characters he's using, which sound almost exactly like the Jeff Johns run of what they did in that series. I mean, the Atom Smasher is a fan favorite, I would say. I don't think a super popular character. No one's walking around with Atom Smasher tattoos. But, the character's been around for a while. He was Nuklon before he was Atom Smasher, so he was Infinity Inc. for a little while. So the character's been around. He changed his name. I mean, definitely when he changes his name to Atom Smasher, that's when the character kind of, pun intended, got bigger. But yeah, I mean, this whole casting and what characters are using really heavily that Jeff Johns JSA run.
Right. And then the next character, this is an interesting one because there's been a run on this book too. Cyclone.
Yes.
So Cyclone's first appearance is Justice Society of America #1 from February of 2007. That was an Alex Ross cover. So there are people who collect Alex Ross, and you're going to see this with the 3rd issue as well. There are people who just collect Alex Ross and they'll send anything in. So I think that's what you have there. There's 58 blue label 9.8s. There's 7 gold label 9.8s. There's 1 9.9. It was about $125 book. I expect it to go higher. It's very hard to see Cyclone on the cover. So again, now that leads me to Justice Society #3, which has the first appearance of Maxine Hunkel as Cyclone on the cover.
Yeah, that's that.
And it's a great
cover. Oh my God.
It's an amazing shot. That's going to be, to me, that's going to be the book more than the #1. There's 8 blue label 9.8s. That's probably Alex Ross collectors. There's 0 gold labels. I'm surprised because the Alex Ross people who get stuff signed like to get everything. But Alex, you know what? Alex hasn't signed in years.
Oh, that, and this character came out of left field. She's not used very highly in the comics at all. This character, weirdly enough, the first iteration of the character was in Kingdom Come, And then when they're doing JSA All-Stars, they were like, oh, we're going to create this character called Cyclone. And then Alex was like, oh, you know, there's this character in Kingdom Come that was kind of the same one. So they melded the characters together, and that's where you get it. And this character is just the history for the character in the comic. She's Red Tornado's granddaughter, but not the machine Red Tornado. The Ma Hunkel pot on her head Red Tornado, like, property that DC purchased years later. Like, it's crazy. And they haven't used her since, so it's very weird that they're using her for this film.
Right. And then the last character, I wouldn't say a big surprise, but awesome. And I'm excited to see what he's going to look like, is Hawkman.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
Now, Hawkman's had a very long, interesting history, so we've tried to narrow it down to a handful of books that we think you should be on the lookout for, based on the historical significance of the character, because Hawkman's a character that's been in a lot of series over the years, a lot of times, and a lot of books, and a lot of different things. So my personal favorite cover, maybe you have a personal favorite too, I love the Gerardo Zaffino covers. Mm-hmm. I don't know, there's something about Gerardo that he has captured this character, just me personally, in a way that no one else has captured it before. I love all of his covers, but I think Hawkman number 23 in particular is an amazing, amazing cover. Do you have a particular favorite Hawkman cover? What do you think of Gerardo?
Oh, man. I mean, I love his covers, and I love those covers, but that Hawkman cover, the Hawkman, is it Hawkman 1, where it's the Aztec in the blue background, and he's flying in, like, that Silver Age cover is amazing. But yeah, those, I have all that run sitting in my
Alex got to send them into CGC. You're gonna make a few shekels over there.
That's it. I don't like mailing things, so I'll just drive down to Florida and take them in myself.
No problem. Listen, I'm going to CGC soon. You can send them to me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can take a long box with you on the plane.
Right. So from 1961, you have Brave and the Bold number 34.
Yeah, that's
the first Silver Age Hawkman. Mm-hmm. Okay, again, it's a low pop book across the board. So really anything you get in 5.0, 6.0, 5.5, whatever is great. There's only 6 9.4, 5 9.2, and 14 9.0 blue labels. So really anything that's an aesthetically pleasing copy of that book, you could just get. Again, you know, they're 3,000 and up on the 8.5s, but you know, you can't find them. They don't exist. They're probably all in personal collections, and they only come up for sale very rarely. So that's one book to take a look at. The next book to take a look at is Showcase number 101 from June of 78. That's the first Bronze Age Hawkman. There's 15 blue label 9.8s. There's 1 gold label 9.8s. I've seen that book as low as $165. Yeah. That book sounds like a steal. Yep. Again, it's probably not representative of the character that's going to be in the film, but it doesn't matter. People kind of just look for the character. Yeah. The next historically significant Hawkman is from June of 1990 in Hawk World. Yeah. That was a landmark series back in the day. Yeah. That was huge. I remember that book. That book was big at that time. There's only 10 blue label 9.8s, only 1 gold label 9.8. You can pick that book up at a very reasonable price. That really starts the new era of the Hawkman. Yeah. That kind of reset Hawkman as we know him today. And then the last book I think to take a look at is Hawkman number 1, volume 3 from 1993. There are 15 blue label 9.8s, 0 gold label 9.8s. I think that's also a Hawkman to take a look at. So I think you have a sort of a wide range of Hawkman books to take a look at. Obviously, there's thousands of different Hawkman books. Mm-hmm. These we like. I like the Zaffino covers. You know, you like their covers. If there's an aesthetically pleasing cover to you, I think, again, when it comes to these characters, like the Cyclone character, it doesn't matter that it's number 3. It's her first appearance on a cover. It's an Alex Ross cover. Yep. That book's going to be a hot book.
Yep, agreed.
All right, Alex, what do we got next?
What's Wonder Woman? I mean, can't forget about her.
Yeah, so I think what's important with Wonder Woman is obviously there's a lot of Wonder Woman issues. It's been spoken about, ad nauseum. And I think what's interesting is the golden armor that we saw.
Barbara, what did you do?
In the trailer and in the posters and everything else like that. So I think what's important is I want to point out a few golden armor covers that I think are going to be historically significant. Because as we've seen over there, like when Spider-Man appeared with the Iron Spider, all of a sudden that book came out of all the dollar bins And by the way, that book was hot back in the day.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people had those books in high grade, the Iron Spiders. All of a sudden, Iron Spider
New
costume makes an appearance. Boom, everybody wants that issue. I think people are going to look for the golden armor.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you'd be smart to go out and get these books. Wonder Woman number 144 from 1999 is the first golden armor that we've seen. There's only 5 blue label 9.8s. There's only 4 gold label 9.8s. And it's an Adam Hughes cover.
Yeah.
Which is shocking because Adam is a great signature series guy to have. Like, again, he's a guy that when he does signature series, a lot of people get a lot of stuff done. You would have thought that people would have wanted that book signed. It's a great cover. All of Adam's covers are magnificent.
Amazing. Yeah.
That book, I think, is going to fly because of the golden armor.
Yep.
The other one to take a look at is Wonder Woman number 173 from October of 2001. It's another great golden armor cover. 22 blue label 9.8s, 7 gold label 9.8s. I think that's those 2 golden armor covers. I think that's really what you want to look at for Wonder Woman. I think those have the most room to grow. They're very, very inexpensive right now.
Yep.
And then the last thing to talk about with Wonder Woman, because we talked about Cheetah on past shows, we don't want to repeat ourselves. We talk about Max Lord on past shows, we don't want to repeat ourselves. I think one other book to take a look at because of the cover and the significance and because he's in the Wonder Woman film is Wonder Woman number 219, the second print.
Yes.
Because Max Lord is actually on the cover. It's the death of Max Lord issue. Mm-hmm. And on the second print, they put him on the cover, tied up in the lasso. It's a pretty neat cover. And that came out in 2005, late 2005. Mm-hmm. There's 14 blue labels. There's only 1 gold label in 9.8. And I think, again, because he's on the cover and it's a Wonder Woman book and he's on it with Wonder Woman, it's the only cover with the 2 of them together on the cover. I think that's a book that people are going to look for as well. And the second prints are hard to find. We talk about how many times do we talk about the second prints?
Yep. Definitely.
So
it's hard to find.
I'm looking forward to Pedro Pascal, his spoiler alert, his death in Game of Thrones. Among all the brutal deaths that we saw.
That was the brutal.
All the brutal deaths. I'm going to tell you, I believe Pedro suffered.
Yes.
Worst death of all. Alex, he was winning. He was winning.
Don't boast. Finish
Alex, he was winning. What was he dancing around for?
I don't know.
And he takes it and he hits him in the foot. And 5 minutes later, like a watermelon. Like taking the watermelon and dropping it off the
I won't insert video here. Usually I would, but I'm not going to at this time. Watch the show. God.
All right, Alex. I think that's our show for today.
Yep.
So we will see you next week.
Same bat time. Same
bat channel. Thanks, everybody out there. If you have any comments on the show, you have any questions, comments, whatever you want to hear us talk about, we'll be back next week.